Hey guys, welcome to the Hacked Existence tutorial on building RayHunter. So by the end of this video, I'll show you guys how to take one of these orbic hotspots and apply the RayHunter patches from the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Basically, that's going to add this green bar at the top that right now is telling us everything looks to be okay. If that bar turns red, it is because RayHunter has detected what could potentially be an IMSI Catcher or a stingray, hence the name RayHunter, which is basically a man-in-the-middle attack on the cellular network. So the way it works is it takes advantage of the way the cellular network is designed. So the design of the cellular network is that cellular devices identify themselves to the network using the IMSI or International Mobile Subscriber Identity, but the cellular network never identifies itself back to the subscriber. So a stingray or a cell site simulator masquerades as a legitimate cellular tower, and you usually pack those devices full of legitimate SIM cards, and your devices automatically connect to them, and then they sling your data, your cellular communication, back out to the legitimate cellular network, effectively giving them a man-in-the-middle position on your cellular communications. So at that point, because you've used your IMSI to authenticate to the cell tower, the stingray knows the identity of your device as well as its physical location. The next step is typically a downgrade attack, where the IMSI catcher will tell your device that it can't talk in 5G anymore. It needs to use something like 4G or 3G or 2G, and your device just says okay, because your device's priority is to stay connected to the network over the security of the communications. So once that encryption has been downgraded, it becomes trivial to decrypt. So these types of devices are popular with law enforcement and intelligence agencies, but I've been following IMSI catchers for many years. They used to be very easy to find and readily available on the internet. Now they're a little harder to find, but they're still out there. You can also build your own if you have the right hardware. So the good people over at the EFF have released RayHunter, which allows us to monitor for those types of downgrade attacks where the security of your cellular communications may be compromised. So my favorite part of this project is that if you have a valid SIM, you can put it in the orbic and actually use it as a fully functioning hotspot and be able to monitor in parallel if your communications are potentially being snooped on. So let's jump into putting this thing together. So we'll begin by taking the battery cover off, and it looks like there's a little slot here that you can pry the back plate off on. And we can see it's already got a Verizon SIM card inserted in there. So now we'll stick the battery in, and we'll pop the back plate back on. Now we'll plug in the USB-C, and we should be able to plug this into the computer. So let's jump over to the computer. All right, here in the RayHunter repo of the EFF.org GitHub, I'm going to scroll down to the RayHunter releases page. We can see the latest release is 028, so I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to download release.tar. Now in a terminal, I'll cd into downloads. I'll make a directory called release. Now I'm going to tar minus xvf release.tar minus capital C /release. Now I'll cd into release, and I've got the device turned on and plugged in USB to the computer, so I'm going to do /install.sh, and it looks like permission denied, so I'm going to try that again with sudo. And it looks like we got checking for RayHunter server success, so let's jump back over to the bench. At this point, we can see that our hotspot now has the green bar. So if I use the menu button, I can go to device settings. We can make sure that Wi-Fi is enabled. We can see here we're on 2.4 gigahertz. So again, cycling through the menu, we can go to the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi info. This is the SSID, and this is the wireless password. So now we're going to jump over to the computer and connect to this. Of note is that this is also the password for the admin interface on the web server that we're about to use. So let's jump over to the computer. All right, after connecting to the Wi-Fi access point, we can go to 192.168.1.1 in a browser to see the built-in web interface. The default creds are admin and the password that we use to connect to the Wi-Fi. And here we can administer our device just as we would if it was stock. But going to 192.168.1.1:8080 in a browser brings up the RayHunter interface. Here we can see we've got the green status bar. If this turns red, we've detected some activity. If we scroll down here, we can see what the RayHunter is looking for. It is looking for if our IMSI is requested, or if there is a downgrade to 2G, or if there are 2G or 3G frequencies in use. So once we come into contact with an IMSI catcher, this will turn red. You can go download the PCAP and see the actual traffic that generated the alert. So at this point, we're all up and running and able to interface with RayHunter and monitor our communications. All right, so hopefully at this point you guys have a fully built out orbic hotspot with the EFF RayHunter patches applied, and you are ready to get out there and monitor the safety of your cellular communications. As always, stay tuned and thanks for watching.